I don't know what's going on, but something feels wrong. Something feels off and I can't put my finger on it. And I'm sensing that something has shifted and that it's potentially really bad. But at the same time, I also know it's really good and I'm just confused and I think it's getting really messy. I fear things are getting really dangerous. When it comes to GLP-1s, how readily accepted they are by everybody. I myself am starting to feel this like FOMO, like, am I supposed to be on one too? And I feel like everybody I know is on a GLP-1. When I open up my phone to TikTok or Instagram, it feels like every single person in my feed, whether they're somebody who is formerly obese or someone who's a fitness professional or celebrity or an influencer, like everyone is talking about GLP-1s and especially talking about microdosing. But most of all, I'm noticing that people are just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And something feels off, something feels wrong about this. And I just want to talk about it. It is women targeting women, and it's women targeting women, specifically Gen X women. I can't be the only one who feels like, wait, is this okay? GLPs are amazing, they're miraculous. Fire is miraculous. Fire is gonna allow me to have dinner tonight. The fire also has the potential to burn down the house. And the research is phenomenal. I mean, it's a miracle drug, right?
Miracle drug.
Yes.
It's a miracle drug.
I'm super excited with the 50 pounds that I've lost.
I immediately invested because I'm like, everyone and their mom's going to try.
It does make you feel full. For me, it was like a refresh.
Dolores, how long have you been on the Ozempic?
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah. It's actually Mounjaro. It's another part of
Oh,
Mounjaro.
that's the amped up version.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
You're
yeah, that's
kidding?
the fast forward to Skinnyville.
You're kidding me. And
Reunions in 2 weeks.
I am starting Ozempic. I mean, it's not technically Ozempic, but I'm starting a semaglutide, or maybe it's a peptide. I don't really know the difference, and I don't really know technically what it is. All I know is I'm starting it. My biggest thing is that I just want to wear a tank top again.
For context, I want you to know that this episode it's from my own lens. And I realize like my own experience is probably why I feel triggered by so much of what I'm seeing. And I'm perfectly aware of that. And where that stems from is I was a consumer fitness person. So you might recognize me from late night infomercials. I've done tons of different fitness infomercials. I was a fitness person before I started selling fitness on TV with an infomercial company. And once I got caught up in that, and literally caught up in that, it was no longer something I did for passion. It was something I was caught up in doing it for profits. And I was wrapped up in the consumerism of it all. And in order for a fitness program to be marketable, you have to be smaller. And so I was told in no uncertain terms from producers and partners that I worked with that, like, okay, in order to sell what it is you've created next, people want to see that you are getting smaller. Because smaller sells. When it comes to women's fitness, when it comes to health, when it comes to anything related to women, smaller is better. And that was the message. And in order for me to get smaller, I had to do things that were really unhealthy and had nothing to do with improving people's health, bottom line. And there was a moment when I was filming an infomercial and I was looking into the camera and saying things that I knew were not going to help her and I knew weren't true for me. And I knew it wasn't healthy. So despite the fact that I had a #1 infomercial on TV at that time, despite the fact that was my primary source of income at the time, I had to make a decision that was ethically the right decision for me and walk away. I got caught up in that, something that was healthy and something that was supposed to help other people. But eventually it just got so messy that I knew I had to step back and reassess. And maybe that's why I feel like so much of what's going on right now feels familiar. And not in a good way. I started talking about it on my show, The Chalene Show, over almost 2.5 years ago. And at the time, there were a lot of people in the fitness community who criticized me, like, how dare you talk about something like that when people can do this, quote, naturally? It's, quote, cheating to do something like a GLP-1, otherwise known as Ozempic, Mounjaro, tirzepatide, retatrutide. There's so many different names, semaglutide. There's so many different compounds that are basically considered a weight loss injectable. But what we know about GLP-1s, and I've already done quite a few videos talking about like how they work, what they do in the body, and what mechanism happens that allows people to lose weight, which basically it's controlling your hunger hormones. You feel fuller longer. In fact, you don't even crave food. In fact, you don't crave a lot of things, not just food. But for some, they're no longer craving their online shopping or alcohol or other things that were kind of addictive.
After 15 years, my cravings vanished overnight. I just started the weight loss medication Ozempic, poured my nightly wine, and like clockwork, I just stared at it. I didn't want it.
Also helps with addiction. So I was somebody who loved to purchase bottles of wine, and I would drink 1, 2, maybe sometimes 3 a week. I haven't bought 1 bottle of wine in the last year and a half. It is an amazing way to live your life being more sober and more present.
That sounds amazing. If we can help people have a hormone that they didn't have before, right? Like, and now we have all of this incredible new research that's emerging, talking about how it improves cognition and reduces inflammation, and it's reducing the rate of cancers, and it's protective in the way that some of our hormones, which are in decline as women, as we age, like it's protective, meaning now this is potentially microdosing could be an option for those who are not a candidate for sex hormones because of a breast cancer diagnosis. So all of this sounds remarkable and amazing. Nonetheless, something feels off. And I think 2 things can be true at once. I haven't even made sense of what's going on or my thoughts completely, but I want to just get this out there because I think if I'm thinking it, other people have to be noticing this too. So when I started bringing this topic on my show, again, about 2.5 years ago, as I said, I had lots of people in the fitness industry who were not happy and were vehemently against the use of GLP-1s. And I can understand why to some extent.
What drives me crazy is people that want a quick fix. They want to starve their body and they don't understand the value of weight training. If you want less fat, build more muscle. And we're not going to lift weights and get bulky. We're not going to wake up with a 6-pack, right? We're not all of a sudden going to look like a bodybuilder as a woman. So I think one of the problems that we're seeing in this Ozempic world is we're seeing this skinny fat look. We're seeing this depleted look because people are losing their appetite. They're not eating. That's terrible for your metabolism. That is terrible for everything. They're not eating and they're dropping weight and they're not developing muscle.
If someone asked me to help them lose weight, if I created anywhere near a 25 to 35% loss coming from muscle, I'd get fired. The problem that comes as a result of being skinny fat at the end of any weight loss attempt is that you have less metabolically active tissue to help you to hold off or fend off additional weight gain when you start to eat like you were before you started your diet.
It does not reverse chronic kidney disease, it slows progression. But do you know what does reverse or prevent chronic kidney disease? Exercise by 33%. If I wanted to sell the drug, I could. I have a weight loss app. I have an entire business. It's telehealth medicine. It'd be the easiest thing in the world, just like Weight Watchers does, just like Noom does. I chose not to because I have integrity, unlike you and Dr. Sakotis who make your money this way.
But I disagreed. I just felt like, gosh, if people have been trying to lose weight, we know about the risks of being obese. We know how bad it is for your heart. We know all-cause mortality, like the risk of dying from anything, significantly increases when a person is obese. Like we know that it costs the medical system billions of dollars. We know that it kills people every single day. So like, why would we not be excited about this? But it's complicated because it's weight. And when the drugs first really started to become popular, there was definitely a negative stigma. I'm sure you would agree. You know, people would be like, anytime anyone lost weight, people would go like, Ozempic, like almost like a dig on people. They would comment it on Instagram or underneath somebody's post. It didn't matter how they lost the weight, even if they're like, what are you talking about? I've been exercising my ass off for months and following this particular diet. Like, but anyone who lost weight for a while, that was the dig. Like, oh, Ozempic, meaning a GLP-1. But then things started to shift. It started to shift because I think a lot of celebrities started using it. And then we started hearing about people using it off-label. And much of the off-label use was because we were hearing again about all these incredible benefits. That's reducing inflammation for people. It's just quieting the food noise for somebody who had been struggling with insulin sensitivity or someone who just struggled with overeating, struggled to manage their weight. People started talking about all of the benefits that they were experiencing doing what's called a micro dose of a GLP-1. So not necessarily using Ozempic or Mounjaro or one of the pens that's preloaded, but going through typically a compounding pharmacy where they're able to dose it at not just a smaller amount, but literally like droplets. And I had one of who many people consider as the pioneer in this information and this application of GLP-1s, that is microdosing, with Dr. Tina Moore. And that was, I think, over 2 years ago. And in that episode, she talked about experimenting with her own clients and looking at the research and understanding the mechanisms of how these drugs work and wanting to understand, like, are we overdosing people? Are we giving them too high of a dose? And that's why they're having nausea and muscle wasting. They're experiencing extreme fatigue. But what if we gave them like just a whisper of a dose, like literally a droplet dose? What might happen? And what she discovered, and many other people picked up on her message, was that there were so many other benefits that people were, maybe they lose a couple of pounds, but more so, instead of using it as a weight loss strategy, they were using it as a means by which to reduce inflammation, a means by which to control autoimmune diseases and to reap all of the benefits aside from weight loss.
My theory was if someone's really metabolically sound, like women like us who are active, we lift weights, we take our walks, we get our sleep, we mitigate our stress, we eat our protein, we get our sunlight. My theory was that we would just need a touch, like a very small amount, and that might just sweeten the deal, because what that thickening is it's insulin resistance. At the end of the day, it's cellular insulin resistance. It may not show up on labs for a year or two, but it will eventually. And so my theory was, well, I'm just going to take a small dose because what could it hurt, right? Like there's literally no side effects at low doses. All of the side effects were happening at high doses. And so I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose here. I'm going to give it a go. And it was miraculous.
And that sounded like really exciting for people. And it's about that time when we start hearing a lot of people saying, I'm not doing a GLP-1, I'm microdosing, but not for weight loss. Okay, I'm down with that. Like, that research sounds good. And I remember myself thinking, should I be doing that? Because everything that I do is for longevity. I mean, my whole purpose in creating this channel, this show, like even when I spend my money on, your extra income, like I don't buy purses or shoes or expensive clothes. I spend my money on like longevity things like hyperbaric oxygen or red light therapy. I like experimenting with peptides. I personally have done BPC 157, which is for inflammation. It's to help the body heal faster. But I'd never done a weight loss peptide. And so when I thought about doing those, I was like, why does something about that feels like I shouldn't be doing that. And I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons why I felt like I shouldn't be doing that is because around about that same time, I had quite a few, not quite a few, a few friends who are fitness influencers, really well known, have a large following, and they were doing a GLP-1 and sharing it privately with their friends, but saying like, don't tell anyone this. And I was like, but if it's something you're doing that's for longevity and for all these other reasons, like, why are you hiding that from your audience? This is my personal opinion. It's because they were getting leaner and smaller. It was obvious to me. And I know we're not supposed to talk about people's bodies, so trigger warning, I'm going to be talking a lot about bodies and weight and dieting and disordered eating and eating disorders, but I want to do so to bring awareness, because I also know a lot of folks in the fitness industry, I know because I was one of them, have disordered eating practices. Like we all grew up in the age of the 90s and 2000s where it was just like ridiculous low fat exercise for hours, cardio, smaller is better. And I have friends who've grown up, they're about the same age as me, and I'm looking at them getting insanely lean. I'm talking single-digit body fat for women over 50. Just as it's true for anyone else, even someone in the fitness industry, when you start getting leaner and smaller, what do? You get praise. People are like, oh my God, you look amazing. What are you doing? Even though you might look at somebody and go like, oh my, they look horrible. But we never say that. When it comes to weight loss, we never say are you okay? You don't look well. Never. We always say, you look, oh my God, you look amazing. Hashtag goals. Girl, what are you doing? And so I was watching these, again, colleagues getting like, in my opinion, way too lean. And I knew that they were microdosing. So for me, that was like I don't think that's right for me. And I'm doing all these other things to benefit my brain, to benefit my heart, to benefit my bones, to benefit building muscle, all these other things. So it just didn't feel right for me. But I did notice that things started to shift. There started to be kind of a transition where it wasn't like a taboo thing. It wasn't something that you associated with someone who was really overweight. Now it was something, suddenly I felt like everybody was doing it. Then we started hearing more and more celebrities talking about it, embracing it, sharing how it had changed their bodies. And then there were those who weren't talking about it. You could just kind of see. It was celebrities who were struggling with their weight for decades, and then suddenly they were getting really thin. And some of them were open about the conversation. Like, for example, Sharon Osbourne, who talked about going on Ozempic and just getting thinner than she wanted to be. And of course, there's tons of other celebrities that are just rumored to have been on a GLP-1 and just getting very, very thin. The problem is, despite the fact that you and I both know that there's so many benefits to this drug, there's also a subliminal message. And that message is, without question, targeting women. For hundreds of years, we've been told we need to control our bodies. They need to be smaller. In most cases, they need to be smaller to attract the attention of a man. They need to be smaller to have authority. They need to be smaller for people to pay attention to you. They need to be smaller for you to be a celebrity, for you to get the role, for you to get the TV show, for you to get the job, for you to be revered, for you to get more likes on Instagram. You need to be smaller. That's the message. And I thought that we were getting away from this. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and there's no question that we were targeted. I mean, women have always been targeted. I distinctly remember all the women when I was a kid drinking Tab. It was considered the female version of Diet Coke. Like, Diet Coke is for everybody, but Tab was for women who wanted to be smaller.
When you can't be with him, be in his mind sticker.
When you can't be with him, be in his mind. Be a mind sticker with a shape he can't forget.
Don't you want to have a good shape? He wants you with a good shape. Shape with Tab.
Tab can help you stay in his mind. It's sugar-free and it tastes better than any Diet Cola. Because the Coca-Cola Company wouldn't have it any other way. You know, keeping your shape in shape has its rewards.
Be a mind sticker.
Enjoy Tab and be a mind sticker.
Be a mind sticker. In order to be a mind sticker, you've got to be thin. You've got to be smaller. You've got to control your body. I mean, we lived through the cabbage soup diet, Atkins, the Hollywood cookie diet, the Special K diet.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what?
I just did the Special K pinch.
What's that?
A little test to see if you need to watch your weight. If you can pinch more than an inch, you probably do. And I did.
I bet I know what you're having for breakfast.
Can you pinch more than an inch? Try the Special K breakfast. Protein, vitamins, iron, just 240 calories. Make high-protein Kellogg's Special K cereal part of your complete diet plan.
Do the Special K pinch.
Snackwell cookies.
Delicious way to cut the fat. Snackwell's chocolate sandwich cookies. So good. Can we ever make enough?
The grapefruit diet.
A fat burner plan.
I want to lose weight. I lose up to a pound a day.
I've lost more weight on the Grapefruit 45 plan.
And drugs like Fen-Phen. I mean, we lived through all that. We also lived through crazy aerobic activity where we were led to believe that we needed to do hours and hours and hours of cardio in order to shrink, to be smaller, to take up less space. And that kind of subliminal brainwashing which many women my age have been subjected to for all our lives, doesn't go away. And I think it's part of the reason why I've never seen FOMO for a drug like this in my entire life. Nobody has. And guess who's affecting the most significantly? Young women. In preparation for this episode, I discovered that over 81% of people who are using a GLP-1 off-label, meaning not because they have type 2 diabetes, 81% of them are female. And guess what? That statistic is from 2022. Can you imagine what it is today? I can't imagine. I feel like almost everyone I know is doing a GLP, many of whom aren't admitting it. Why aren't they admitting it? If they're really, truly taking it for all the health benefits and not for weight loss, why is there still so much stigma around it? I think it's because a lot of people who are saying that they're microdosing for inflammation, it's almost like code for, I'm not going to say that I'm trying to lose weight because I accept bodies at all sizes. I'm not going to say that I'm trying to lose weight because I know I don't have that much to lose and I don't want anyone to judge me.
If you go to the link in my bio, you'll take a quick assessment. We also have microdosing plans for people who are not over a 28 BMI, which is amazing because these medications have so much more benefits than just weight loss.
Most people have no idea that GLP-1s can support inflammation, especially during that perimenopause and menopause when it really ramps up.
GLP-1 medications have been shown to have anti-inflammatory properties.
GLP-1s reduce inflammation.
There are so many people who say even if they never lost another pound, that they would take the medication for the other benefits, oftentimes a reduction in inflammation and pain.
GLP-1s have been known to significantly reduce inflammation in our bodies.
But the bottom line is, I really like that I'm losing weight from this. I really like that I'm getting leaner. I like that this is easier. I don't subscribe to the thought that like it's cheating. But I'm just being honest. When I used to see a before and after video, like you've seen the ones on TikTok where, you see the person, they show a video of themselves like sitting on a couch, eating junk food, and they're like, 100 pounds overweight. And then you show them and they're like, trying to get to the gym and they show themselves struggling and you just know what's coming, right? And you just watch it progress over months and months and months. And then all of a sudden the big transition, the reveal, and they're like fit and they look amazing. Those are like my favorite videos and you're like so excited for them. And whenever I see one of those videos and they reveal that, it's been their GLP-1 journey, I would be lying if I didn't go, okay. I mean, they still did the work, but there's no denying it's easier, right? I mean, they still had to not eat the food, but the struggle wasn't as intense. It's just easier. It just is. There's just no way around that. And I'm sure that's going to offend some people, but it's definitely easier. It's easier than doing it the traditional method. And if it wasn't, then people wouldn't go on the drug. It is absolutely easier. And that's not a bad thing. And it's not a judgment. That's not about ethics. It's not about moral superiority. That's not, saying that one person is better than another. But I want to clarify my position. I am absolutely in support of GLP-1s. I also don't judge anyone who's on one. And I'm also being honest when I say I've seriously considered doing it myself too. I'm not on a GLP-1, but if I were to go on a GLP-1, I would want to do it the right way. So if you're going to do this, and I think a lot of you are great candidates for this, and it's the right step for you, and I think it's miraculous how it can help somebody with their health. But I want you to know that if you're looking into using a telehealth company, which is the most popular form of GLP-1 access for most people, please know not all telehealth companies are the same. They're not all equal. And I'm going to talk about a lot of very unregulated, unscrupulous, dangerous sources where you can get it online. And I want you to know that's not the way to go. That's not just my opinion. This is me urging you to, if you're going to consider this, do it the right way. It's one of the reasons why, in full transparency, MIDI Health is a sponsor of this episode, because I can put my own reputation on the line and say, this is a company that prides itself on taking a whole person, whole woman approach. So you can schedule yourself an age well appointment where you can learn what your actual body fat is. You can have a DEXA scan ordered where they're actually looking at, like, what does your body fat composition look like right now? What does your bone density look like before? If you're considering a GLP-1, what does it look like before you even begin? Possibly doing blood work, looking at your hormones, getting your hormones in check, scheduling an appointment to make sure you know what your baselines are, where you are, and if in fact this is the right choice for you and at what dose and at what starting point. I mean, there's so many things to take into consideration. And then, of course, you want to work with a telehealth company, again, like MIDI Health, that only works with pharmacies that are approved. And they're only able to and only willing to prescribe medications that are FDA approved. So a lot of these compounding chemicals and research chemicals that you're hearing people talking about online, just please know that you're putting yourself in harm's way when you're messing around with things you're getting on the black market from pharmacies that are not regulated, offering compounds that aren't tested. MIDI Health only works with pharmacies that are third-party tested. They take a whole person approach, and they're not going to just automatically suggest that you do a GLP-1. And if it's something you want to consider, it's something that they're going to ask you the right types of screening questions to make sure you are a good candidate. So in the event you don't make it all the way to the end of this video, we're going to talk about all the scary things related to GLP, some of the pitfalls that I really want you to avoid. But one of the easiest ways to avoid those pitfalls is by working with a telehealth company that is reputable and actually looks at the whole person. So it is with great pride I'm able to tell you that MIDI Health is a sponsor of this episode, and you can book your own appointment by going to Chalene.com/MIDI, MIDI, Chalene.com/MIDI. And I highly recommend you do an age well appointment. Again, if you want to talk about GLPs, you can, but like, it's so cool to actually understand, like, where am I right now in terms of my overall health? Now I'm starting to notice that people are really focused on skinny, and we're missing the part about muscle. Everyone's talking about protein. I am eating my protein. I'm lifting my weights, and I see all these reels and social media posts of people who are on a GLP-1, and they're talking about how they're not losing muscle and that they're prioritizing protein and they're prioritizing lifting. But the problem with it is, just because when somebody loses body fat, you're going to see more definition, even if they've lost muscle. The average person doesn't know that. I'll watch one of these videos where it's somebody who was formerly obese, typically, and they've lost a massive amount of weight. And now they've got like definition where you can like see the outline of some muscle, and people are like, oh my God, girl, your muscles are popping. It's like, well, that's definition, but we don't know if that person has lost muscle unless we're looking at their DEXA scan. This crazy demand, not just to lose weight, but because everyone is shrinking, and we're hearing all this, like, all these incredible benefits from this drug. It's like so much FOMO being created around it, so much demand. And then we have these drug companies that have, frankly, overpriced these drugs. And there was a shortage, which opened up a window of opportunity for compounding pharmacies. Because of that shortage, and because compounding pharmacies were then able to fill the prescription, meet the demand for GLP-1s, because of that, everyone suddenly had access to GLP-1s at a much reduced cost. That problem stems from overpriced drugs and people who really needed them. But then the compounding pharmacies saw an absolute gold mine, a gold mine, because now they have people who are desperate to get their hands on these drugs. And of course, the means by which to get them was easier. Like, you didn't have to jump through the same hoops. You didn't have to prove that you were clinically obese. There's over 7,000 to 12,000 compounding pharmacies just here in the United States. And that doesn't even include all of the overseas pharmacies and all of the black market pharmacies that exist that we don't even know about. But this is a money-making opportunity. Everybody wants it. And not just once, they want to be on it for life. So the demand, the rush to scoop up those customers who are going to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars every single month, month after month. There's an incredible opportunity. So much so, all of these pharmacies, a lot of them, started reaching out to influencers, reaching out to anyone who was talking about their weight loss journey on TikTok or Instagram, reaching out to them and saying like, hey, while you're talking about this, you should be helping other people, because I'm sure people are asking you like where you got your prescriptions. We can solve that problem for you, and we can put money in your pocket. We can write you a check. We can make you an affiliate. Or in some cases, there are now network marketing companies that what they sell are peptides. They sell GLP-1s.
Partnered with Fridays because when I got my letter, I needed to figure out where I'm going to go, because I'm not going to do Wegovy. I'm not. I have 3 doctors in my face telling me.
But I guess I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think there is a difference.
Differently. So that's what I'm saying. For me, you know, like when you know, he.
So she had to show it again.
Because that stuff is too much money to not be.
So now you have women talking other women into microdosing. If they're like, oh, you don't have weight to lose, that's okay. Look at all these other benefits, and you might just lose a few pounds. And in order to sell something, you need to be able to show transformation, right?
Happy microdose day. I'm sure you've all seen my before and afters. Like, my stomach did not look like this 3 months ago.
So I just wanted to hop on here real quick, and normally it is $79, so you're saving $50. And also, if you decide you want to become a brand partner, you can work underneath me and I can kind of be your mentor. It has been an amazing side income for my family.
If I say my inflammation's down, but I look the same, that's not selling you on anything. Like, I need to shrink in order to get you excited about something. You need to see a change. You need to see transformation. So now we've got people who their job, their income is dependent upon them transforming. And it seems so crazy similar to when I was in the infomercial space. And I know, because I got wrapped up in this too, where it's like, well, everybody's doing it, so let's normalize it. And then you start getting golden handcuffs, right? So now people are like, I don't know if this is right, but now it's paying my mortgage, and it's paying for my car payment, and it's getting me more and more followers, and the paychecks are really big. And so now I've got to keep getting smaller, and I've got to talk other women. Yeah, it's women targeting women. It is women targeting women, and it's women targeting women, specifically Gen X women. Why? Because we all grew up brainwashed to believe that we are better when we're smaller. We are prettier. We're more valuable. All of the things are better when we're smaller. So we're an easy target. And now we've got this solution. Find me a woman. I mean, there's not a woman watching this right now who at some point, if not her entire life, has struggled with her weight, or her entire life has been thinking about her weight. It's how society has conditioned us to be. And so I'm not pointing fingers at any one particular group. And I am also pointing a finger back at myself. I've talked about the benefits. I've also probably indoctrinated a ton of people into thinking that they need to exercise more, and they need to, eat healthy, and you need to come in a certain size body. Like, I'm part of the problem too. I'm just pointing all this out and saying, like, it's scary. And the one thing that we're not screening for is eating disorders. There is some research to suggest that doing a GLP-1 may be helpful for those who struggle with binge eating disorder. But when it comes to things like anorexia nervosa and bulimia, even if a woman is in recovery, a lot of experts are saying it's a no-go.
If a person has a history of anorexia or a history of disordered eating, so historical, and now they're taking it, is that okay? Is that not okay? Well, it would sure bring up a lot of red flags for me if you've had a history of anorexia. One, I know that you have the genetic piece of the gene environment interaction that sets people up to have anorexia. So we know that. So we can start to have a conversation about what do we know and what don't we know? We know that you have this risk, right? Because you've had anorexia, and you've certainly had the metabogenetic makeup that goes into having that. So could that happen again? Sure. We know that part of what triggers anorexia is and sort of propels it forward is weight loss. Do we know if a GLP mediated weight loss is going to do that? We just don't know. Many people with histories of eating disorders aren't having an informed consent conversation with their primary care doctor about the anorexia that they had 20 years ago or 10 years ago or even a year ago.
Not only are a lot of these online sellers not screening for things like eating disorders, but most of them don't even care about your medical history. I know, because I get targeted all the time, probably because I talk about GLP-1s on my show. So I get messages every single day from people saying like, hey, join my team. You could make so much money selling GLP-1s. So the other day I clicked to see, what does this look like? All it asked for was my name, my email address, my weight, and my height. It didn't even ask if I was male or female. It probably just assumes that I'm female. And then it took me to a page and said, oh, sorry, you don't qualify at your weight and height. You would need to weigh X number of pounds in order to qualify. It just gave me the answer to the test with a big, bright button at the bottom that says, go back to revise your answer. All right, so that's what I did. I went back and I entered the weight that they told me to enter. And boom, I went right to a page where it offered me all the different varieties of GLP and the price points. And guess what? I can do a 3-month supply. Crazy. It says nothing about dosing. They didn't ask me anything about my medical history. Now, I didn't close out the cart, but because I did enter my email address and my phone number, I probably have gotten 5 texts a day from that online company trying to convince me to start my GLP-1 journey. It's happening on Instagram, on X, and especially on TikTok. On TikTok, you will find people sitting there for hours live, convincing others to get on a GLP-1 using their link. And now when you go to their link, sometimes they're so cryptic, they're not even calling them a GLP-1. They're calling them research chemicals.
I'm 53 years old, and I can tell you there's a way to do it. It is magnificent. Listen, don't do it by yourself, you guys. Size 12, 14 to a size 6.
I found is making sure that I am on a low enough dose to where I don't have negative side effects.
About microdosing during perimenopause. So if you'd like more information about microdosing, please check the link in my bio and follow me.
And people are desperate to buy them. They're desperate to lose weight. They're desperate to be smaller. They're desperate to fit in. They're desperate to have an affordable solution. And I'm not saying anyone's wrong, but I am saying something feels off. And this feels really dangerous. When we have non-medical professionals, Susie in Montana, who is now an expert and giving advice on how to dose, what dosage to start at, and how to mix these compounds at home. And she has no idea whether there's any third-party lab testing of the chemical compounds that she's selling from this associated pharmacy. Where now we have influencers who they make more money if they can convince more women to take these drugs. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these drugs. I know that these drugs are miraculous. And I know I'm going to get a ton of comments underneath this episode. People are going to say like it's changed my life. And you're going to tell me all the benefits to your health. And I believe you. That's not my point. My point is something is off. I think that we are looking at what could be just a landslide of metabolic dysfunction. Because if you're not being careful, if you're not really understanding that you're restricting to such a point, like the fast weight loss, for some reason gets a pass when it comes to a GLP-1. 5 years ago, if someone said that they lost more than 2 pounds in a week, we would go, that's not healthy. Your doctor would say, that is not healthy. It was just like common sense, like you're losing weight too fast, you're going to lose your muscle and that's going to destroy your metabolism. But for some reason, that whole concept gets a pass when it comes to GLP-1s. We celebrate people because they've lost weight so quickly, because not only do we want it effective, but we want it fast, really fast. But when you're losing weight that fast, I don't care if the only thing you're eating is protein and you live in the gym and you're lifting heavy. It doesn't matter. You can't put on muscle if you're in too deep of a deficit. No one's paying attention. Like these doctors aren't even asking their patients to track their calories and figuring out what their baseline is and how much they're consuming per day. All they care about is the weight loss. If you've stagnated and if you're not losing weight, well, then we're going to up your dose so that you're less likely to eat. It's not upping the dose so you start to lose more. Like When you up the dose, it doesn't magically take weight off your body. When you up the dose, you eat less. We're teaching people how to medically or chemically restrict. But I thought restricting was bad. But I guess restricting is good. I guess if you're restricting so much that you're losing weight really, really fast, I guess that's good because it's with a chemical. Like, it's so confusing and it's getting so messy. And I don't know, it just makes me feel a certain kind of way. And it really does concern me. Perimenopausal and menopausal women are target number one.
Come and get it. Who's your daddy? Who's your baby?
That you are in perimenopause or menopause, you may have already experienced or are experiencing weight gain.
Effective for postmenopausal weight gain.
Why? Because we haven't had solutions. Because our medical community didn't listen to us. Because we've made hormones the villain and forced women, unfortunately, to suffer in silence, to die from all-cause mortality, to have more Alzheimer's and heart disease, to suffer from having excessive amounts of belly fat and fatty liver. And because we didn't listen to her and because we weren't giving her adequate solutions, she's desperate. We're desperate. And we become easy targets. And without question, the most vulnerable, the most impressionable women right now are women aged 25 and younger. They are the biggest, largest group using GLP-1s off-label. And by off-label, meaning that they're not using it for type 2 diabetes or obesity, but maybe to lose a few pounds. And it's become acceptable because the people who they look up to are doing it, like influencers. And you'll hear them say, like, I don't care if I'm losing my hair. I don't care about the side effects. I want to lose weight.
I have lost 30 pounds. I feel more confident. I feel better in my body. I just feel so much better. So yes, I'm experiencing hair loss, but it's the one downside of so many other amazing things. And I have no shame. I'll tell anybody anything. I have no secrets. So I take pride in that.
Yes, I am losing a ton of hair, but I still think it's worth it. I think my confidence has never been better, and that to me makes it worth it.
These influencers have millions of impressionable followers. It's how they're able to sell, makeup palettes or skincare. Whatever the influencer uses, the person who's watching, they feel like that's a stamp of approval. And if it's okay for this person who's considered so popular and everybody looks up to them, so if it's okay for them, like, why wouldn't it be okay for me? And so then they see this influencer talking about, all the other things that they've tried. And now they're not just suggesting a tank top, they're suggesting an injectable weight loss drug so that they can fit in their tank top, not for obesity or type 2 diabetes or even for the brain health or the other benefits of taking a GLP-1, but simply to lose another 5 pounds.
I am starting Ozempic. I mean, it's not technically Ozempic, but I'm starting a semaglutide, or maybe it's a peptide. I don't really know the difference, and I don't really know technically what it is. All I know is I'm starting it. My biggest thing is that I just want to wear a tank top again.
And it creates FOMO. Everything on social media, everything in marketing, everything that we're inundated with as women is, you need to be thinner, you need to be skinny, you need to be smaller at all costs, regardless of the risks associated. I mean, there are people going on social media pleading with other users, please tell me your black market source. They're not even asking for a reputable recommendation. They're just saying, just tell me where to get it. And as long as you've tried it and it worked out okay for you, then I know I can take it too. Like, that's all that we're worried about.
I've seen a bunch of videos and it's not clear where anybody's getting it. I know people are purchasing it on their own, some from this country, some from another country. They're mixing it on their own. I don't care where I have to get it. Can you please tell me where you ordered it?
And the women who are trying to influence other women to do these things, again, through, off-market pharmacies, are doing so because they get a kickback. Are they doing it out of the goodness of their heart? Maybe initially. I mean, I do like to think the best of people. I do like to assume that people just want to help. But eventually those pharmacies reach out to people and they're paying them big bucks. If it's not a pharmacy, it's an MLM or some other affiliate where they're paying them big bucks to convince other women to buy their pharmaceuticals, to buy their weight loss injections, their chemical peptides from these shady sources. And frankly, these women aren't qualified.
Hey Karina, I would love to send you information, but right now TikTok is saying nope. So what I need you to do is go over to my bio, click the link, book a consultation, or grab that free info. I am so here for you.
Listen, don't do it by yourself, you guys. And are you even dosing right? I got you. Ask me anything.
Talking about being an affiliate for a collagen powder or castor oil. These are drugs that have to be prescribed, where your medical history and the dosing actually matters. But we have people just going live for hours and hours on TikTok. And why are they able to do this? Because the demand, the need to be smaller, to lose weight, to be skinny is ingrained in women's brains. We're willing to do just about anything. If there's a magic fix, if there's a way to do this that's easier, let's face it, it is easier, then we want it. And women are demanding these things. And of course, some men too, but it's mainly women. And that demand has resulted in some really dangerous practices. And the FDA and other governing bodies can't even keep up. As fast as they can shut down one of these operations, they're back up the next day under a different name and a different website. They're going underground, communicating via Telegram, WhatsApp, and Instagram DMs. Literally, you can order a GLP-1 from someone who you follow via their Instagram DMs. That's crazy to me. That's just not right. And again, I'm not judging anyone who uses a GLP-1 or maybe who's even associated with a pharmacy or an affiliate program or a telehealth company, because there are some really reputable telehealth companies out there. But should those people be talking to you about dosing? Should I be trying to influence you to get on a GLP-1? I don't think so.
The first dosing that you do is so low so that your body starts to get used to it. It gets it going in its system.
I think I should be influencing you to talk to a medical professional to figure out if it's right for you. But yeah, I think they're miraculous. And yes, I think GLPs are here to stay. It's just like AI. They're not going anywhere. What I think will happen is we'll see hopefully some regulations getting involved just to protect the interest of public safety. I think it's mandatory. I think that we're going to see a backlash. I hope that people are like, wait, why are we pushing this on everyone? And why are people who are unqualified suggesting how to dose this stuff? And who's a candidate? I hope that we see a balancing there. But I also think that the drug companies are going to continue to do additional research and find ways to improve GLP-1 so that they save muscle and are better for our metabolic system. But it's hard to say, because at the end of the day, people want fast weight loss. And they forget, no matter how much protein, as I've said before, no matter how much protein you're eating, you can be eating only protein and going to the gym all day long. That doesn't mean that you're not losing muscle, because if you're eating too few calories, you can't look at somebody. You just can't look at someone and say, oh, they're not losing any muscle. That's why it's important to have a DEXA scan to know your body fat and to know your lean muscle tissue and know your starting points and how to evaluate how it's impacting your overall health, not just the number on the scale. You know, I was talking to a friend this morning and I said, because I got one of those, again, before and after kind of videos of a fellow fitness professional who's doing a GLP-1 and she looked great before. And now she's like super ripped, which looks great. And in the past, I would be like so pumped up, like motivated by that. And I said to my friend, I'm like, I don't know why this bugs me. It's not that I think it's cheating, but it doesn't feel the same. And I can't put my finger on it, except that it's like if you were to see a beautiful painting and to know someone did that from scratch versus seeing a beautiful painting and then you find out it was a paint by number kit. Both paintings somebody painted. They actually, took paint, dipped it in and painted a canvas. But one is a little easier. And I know that that's going to offend some people. This is me being completely honest and telling you like certain things just, I don't know, at the moment, they don't sit well with me. And I reserve the right to change my opinion. And maybe at some point I'll change my mind on, and GLPs will be something that I'll consider for me too. I don't know, but I'm going to continue to have experts here. I'm going to continue to share with you the research, and I'm going to continue to do my best to help you make wise decisions. So if you are considering going on a GLP-1, let me give you a quick list of things to keep in mind. 1, use a licensed prescriber in your state. And number 2, if you are going to use a telehealth company, I strongly encourage you to find out for yourself if they're using US-based pharmacies and if they're third-party testing to make sure that like what you're actually getting, what it says is in the vial is actually in the vial. Number 3, if you are working with a provider, make sure that they do a comprehensive evaluation of you, not just your physical health, but your mental health. You want to make sure, like, are you safe to use these from a mental standpoint? There's a lot of research that suggests not everyone is a candidate in terms of their mental health. Number 4, work with a telehealth company or a provider in person who's going to do regular follow-ups and not just constantly increasing your doses. You want to figure out in advance, like, what are your goals? And then have regular appointments to make sure that you're on track. Number 5, work with a company or a provider that actually has real customer service, not just chatbots. And then ask yourself, are you medically eligible? Is this the right choice? Is it really about inflammation, or are you trying to lose the last, 5 or 10 pounds? And that's okay if that's your goal, but is this the best choice for that? And what's the exit plan? How long do you want to be on this? Do you want to be on this for the rest of your life? Is it a short period of time? And what will you specifically be doing to protect muscle? Do you know how much of a deficit means you automatically are going to lose muscle? And what's your plans to make sure that you stay above that? Because listen, muscle is the key to your longevity. Muscle is our fountain of youth. Listen, your worth is not determined by how big or how small you are or the number on the scale. And your health is not guaranteed by a shot. And you deserve better than high pressure tactics for black market chemicals that put your health at risk. I love you. I mean it. And I'll talk to you soon.